let's talk about men being vulnerable. It is asked from men to be vulnerable today, to learn to be vulnerable. Um, it is thought that if men learn to be more vulnerable, it will mean that they will be more in touch with their emotions and therefore less prone to toxic behaviors. And yeah, even men, like in coaching groups and stuff like that, they tend to enjoy allowing themselves to be vulnerable. And there is definitely room for this. Like, first and for all, you're human. So you get to choose what experience you want to live. So I'm not going to tell you not to do it. I'm going to tell you what you've got to do if you want to be in touch with the best version of you. And for men, unless in critical cases, because you are wounded, choosing to be vulnerable is not the best you can do about your emotions. The best you can do about your emotions is to be sovereign over them. And the key distinction that I want to do here is about being sovereign over your emotions as a man and suppressing your emotion as a man. Suppressing your emotions is going to make them degenerate into more and more unhelpful energies. You're basically going to build up suppressed emotions. Oftentimes we think about resentment and anger, but it can also be fear and shame and guilt. So yeah, you stuff things down to a point you do not even remember it is there, or you lie to yourself enough to be satisfied with pretending it's not there when this is all there is. There is no room for anything else anymore. So this is suppressing your emotions. It's the contrary of being vulnerable. It's also, in a way, the contrary to be sovereign over your emotions. So, yeah, basically, if you're suppressing and stuffing things down, and you do not know how to be sovereign over your emotions, you obviously don't know, because if you did know, you would not suppress it. Well, sometimes we forget we can be sovereign over our emotions, right? It's something that is ongoing. It's a never-ending process. But yeah, if you are someone who suppresses your emotions, you're going to feel relief if you are given the opportunity to be vulnerable. You can find an opportunity to be vulnerable in the presence of women. If you are more like the nice guy type, if you are more the mama's boy type, the good boy, you know, if you are stuck in the flight response, we would say. And if you are stuck in the fight response, well, you're mostly going to suppress and suppress and suppress, and maybe at some point, if you are given the opportunity by other men, or if you seek and find the opportunity to be vulnerable in the presence of other men, you're also gonna feel relief about that, thanks to that. And so it's going to feel good for you. It's not going to feel that good to a man. It's not going to feel good to a woman either. Or maybe it's gonna feel good in the beginning, but then it's not going to feel good anymore to people. Like, it's absolutely, it's really deeply wired into our nervous systems that a man, at least a man that obviously is able to manage himself and support himself. We are not expecting to do emotional labor for him. And you might find this, like, you might find this sad, or you might find this like something archaic that we need to get rid of. And I don't believe it's true. I don't believe it's true because, like, I've been a sucker for emotional vulnerability my entire life, most of my life. And what I've come to understand is that it was leading me nowhere, and it made me feel like a burden to other people, even the most compassionate one. And yeah, that's because we do not realize there is a third way, which is to be sovereign over your emotions. And so how you do this? Well, it's mostly about how you use language, okay? Let's say it might be a bit more complicated than that, but I don't think so. There are two ways to use language as humans. We either use performative language, that we use to define reality, make judgments, objective judgments about reality. And yes, it is possible to make objective judgments. Like, to say that objectivity doesn't exist means you do not understand what is objectivity. And objectivity is not the pretension to know the entire one truth about the universe. It's not what objectivity is. But to make objective judgments is one way to use language. That's kind of what I'm doing since the beginning of this video. The other way to use language is a subjective one, is to say, I think, in my opinion, personally, I feel, something that is typically going to be more feminine communication, even if things have been quite different in the West, at least more and more. So yeah, to be vulnerable is basically making I feel statement and let go of your emotions with the expectation that someone else is going to take care of them, right? So you're going to say things like, yeah, I feel a lot of resentment towards my father because when I was young, he was not nice to me, or I feel a lot of anger towards my mother. I feel sad right now because my ex-girlfriend broke up with me, stuff like that. And it's going to, it's going to release emotional tension and emotional suffering, which is inside of you. And so it's going to feel good to you. It's going to feel good on the moment, but it's not going to feel good long-term to a man to do that. Because when you do that, you give up on your power. You give up on your power. And like, that's a whole discussion to have, but a man cannot be fulfilled if he doesn't feel like he is honing his personal power. I'm not talking about domination. I'm not hardcore domination and being a king of the world. I'm just talking about making use of your personal power, having authority over your life, over yourself at the very least. When you indulge into vulnerability, you give up power. And it's giving you back part of your power. There is a good and a bad way to use power and over your emotions. The bad way is to be suppressing your emotions. So you are forcefully dominating your emotions. And to be sovereign over your emotions is to manage them the proper way, to make a good use of your power. And so to do this, instead of being vulnerable and so to turn your emotions into subjective language, you're going to turn your emotions into objective language. You're going to focus more on, like, you notice that you feel resentments towards your father because of things he did in the past. And instead of saying, yeah, I feel a lot of anger towards my father, and I don't know, start shouting or anything else, you're going to state facts. My father did this. When I was 5 or 6, he did this. Then this happened. And it's going to have the same effect. It's going to, like, the emotional tension which is here in your nervous system, because you're suppressing things, it's going to be able to be released, but you're not going to let go of these emotions, so someone else is going to take care of them. And it's true even if you're being vulnerable towards yourself or in a diary. Like, if you just do this, you open your heart in a feminine way. And I'm not saying it's inherently bad. I'm saying it's not gonna be helpful to your masculine embodiment in the long term. So what you're going to do is you're going to use objective judgments. You turn your emotions into objective judgments. And then you turn them into, like, the first step is the analysis. My father did this, and then he did this. And it's okay to judge. It's not okay to build up resentment. It was not okay to do that. My father did this. A good father would have done this. And it's not an opinion. It's, you decide to make this a fact in your life. And so by doing this, you are raising standards from what you expect of yourself and of others, which is going to allow you to set the boundaries for yourself and for other people, which is going to provide you a better ability to lead yourself. And it's actually, long term, it's going to give you more emotional intelligence to do this, like practical emotional intelligence that you can use as a man in a way that's going to empower you more and more. Because the power you're giving away when you're being vulnerable, like, it's not the end of the world, but the fact is you're going to want it to take it back at some point. And you are not really, it's going to be difficult, more difficult than if you yourself do the job to manage your emotions as they come up through objective masculine communication. I'm not saying women can't do that. I'm saying most probably, unless they're deeply wounded, women will find more meaning in using subjective communication. But that's an entirely other discussion. So yeah, vulnerability. You might feel relief short term if you're a man, But then you're going to have to do the hard work to get back into your power if you're not doing this. If you focus on just being vulnerable, it's not gonna be enough. Sometimes it helps if you feel you're really stuck. You can tell, at least to yourself, how you feel and then why you feel that way. And you say why you feel that way, and so you take back control, but it's actually management. It's not suppression. And it's going to help you to refrain you from acting on it, or in a way that is not going to disempower you, like just letting go of your emotional labor would do. Yeah, it's been 16 minutes I've been talking, but that's something that is widely misunderstood, especially in the psychotherapy, in the therapy industry and coaching industry. And it's made